I'm not sure if it's the Italian side of my family, my father's side, the mostly Sicilians, those stories of mafia connections running through my blood, but fierce loyalty has always been a cornerstone in my personal life, for better or for worse. This is my great-grandmother and her brother, my great-granduncle Carmel, aka Joey DeBell, a boxer with connections to the mob, allegedly, with alleged connections to the mob. My great-grandmother married my great-grandfather, Frank Salerno, from Palermo, Sicily. During the Prohibition, he was a musician who performed at a nightclub in Chicago run by the notorious Scarface, Al Capone. But Frank moved the family to California after the violent mafia showdown in 1929 on Valentine's Day. There in California, he continued his music career and did some movie work. I think the idea of unquestioned, blind loyalty towards others is very much pushed in pop culture. Hollywood has often championed the loyal protagonist and has taught us at an early age that this is a great virtue, even though at the same time the dark side of loyalty is shown to us as well.
Honey, I told you that your mother was coming for dinner.
Hi, Mom.
Well, look who's decided to join us. And with that breath. How come my son's in a bathrobe? Is he sick?
He's fine.
Dad, you're depressed.
Depressed? My father came to this country with 17 cents in his pocket, and he never made a peep.
Mom?
What's he got to be depressed about? Nobody threw him into the glue factory.
I'm going back upstairs.
I was making a joke. Oh, yeah, I suppose it would be better if I never opened my mouth.
Grandma, how can it be a joke if you're crying?
Intense anxiety, joylessness. These people's internal phobias are the only things that exist to them. The real world, real people are peripheral.
That's my mother we're talking about.
Whether it's through mafia films or blockbuster superhero movies. And when I was growing up, being loyal and devoted really was my definition of love. So it took a long time for me to look more deeply into it. The process of this clearer understanding of loyalty really accelerated in the middle of 2020, at the time that I had begun to notice the shift in our media, what I thought was a bait and switch. I allowed myself to veer away from the trusted political opinions of my mother and other well-meaning voices warning me never to listen to conservative perspectives, and of course definitely steer far away from that hate-filled rhetoric coming from so-called extremists. But the more I learned, the more understanding and compassion I gained for all my brothers and sisters, on all sides of the political spectrum. There was not one group that I could be angry with. So right away I recognized that it brought me to a higher frequency of love. I think the greatest revelation that I had during these past few years is that the two-party system is simply one. They are the right wing and the left wing of the same bird. They need each other to soar through the sky. Because I didn't question the political parties growing up, I didn't look too deeply at them. But in 1863, of course, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation that freed the slaves, and he was the first Republican president of the United States. And in fact, the early Republican Party was quite liberal, whereas the Democrats were the strict conservative ones. And then about 100 years later, the black population, who were mostly Republicans at the time, made the switch over to the Democratic Party. They had their eyes and ears open to the new policies they had been connected with versus the party that they had been affiliated with. With that, I see an openness and spiritual strength.
We observe today not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change.
By not being blindly loyal to a particular group and label, It seems that they had a level of discernment that is perhaps not so prevalent today. Today there are so many who do not notice the shifts happening all around them. They are fiercely loyal to their party, going blue no matter who, or Trump no matter what. When I think back on my own fierce loyalty, mostly it seems that this loyalty was based on a sort of nostalgia, a nostalgic loyalty, a dedication to a select feeling from the past, a selective memory, or selective amnesia. People get so vehemently loyal to the past that they don't really see the present, which has shifted before their very eyes. And interestingly, when the word nostalgia was coined by a doctor in the 1600s, it was a mental illness, even a deadly mental illness. He basically described his patients' deep and debilitating feelings of longing for the past, symptoms similar to PTSD, which would cause them to be so overcome with mental imbalance, it would drive them mad, leading to complete self-neglect, losing all sense of self-care and autonomy. Nostalgic loyalty and absolute thinking don't seem to be expansive or elevating anyone spiritually. It seems more stagnant. It's so interesting that the Greek and Roman mythological stories are so much about lower level reactions from their characters, and the Greek and Roman philosophers of Stoicism seem to present a remedy for it, the higher vibrational perspective. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who practiced Stoicism during his reign, had been deeply betrayed by his longtime friend, but his response was not like the old Roman myths. He did not take revenge like the mafia. He knew his friend needed to be punished, but he knew the greatest power was to set an example of compassion and love. So perhaps Marcus Aurelius is showing us the higher perspective of loyalty, even though his friend had done wrong, had stabbed him in the back. By him continuing to wish him well, even if they had to part ways, is perhaps a higher perspective of loyalty. I think the Stoics have it right when they tell us to constantly step back and observe. So that would mean that even those who are closest to us should be looked at with fresh eyes, giving them a chance to evolve and change, whether for better or for worse, and for us to be able to respect those changes however they may go. So maybe the truth is that everything is fluid, everything is art, everything is creation, movement, revolution, change, and maybe it's one of the most highly loving things we can do for each other as individuals to observe each other with new eyes, keep things fluid, try not to keep each other frozen in time, stuck in some past version of ourselves, but to let each of us reveal our true selves, unfold authentically, and fulfill our destinies of change.